Okay, so it's the day after Dirty Reiver, and the weather has changed because we're on the borders of Scotland. Thank goodness we had beautiful, beautiful weather yesterday, because this would have been pretty grim. Anyway, enough about the weather, because you can't book it. I want to give you a quick run through of everything on my bike. So bear with us for a couple of minutes if you're interested, what I rode and what I chose. So riding the Kinesis trips to AT. Most of you watching will probably know a little bit about this bike, but it's been fitted with the Lauf fork. This is the grit fork, 30mm of travel. Sponsor here this weekend and also distributed by us at Upgrade Bikes. It was a revelation. I've only used it a couple of weeks. On the higher speed sections here at Dirty Reiver, that total plushness and that total active on the smaller bumps was just brilliant. So that was a big plus. Quick run through on the bike. I'm running Praxis wheels with a nice 21mm internal rim, which gives a nice wide profile. Let's come in a little bit closer and have a look at some of these parts. Also running the Praxis lift crank, which is actually a mountain bike crank, but I'm used to riding mountain bikes, so it's nice to get the same Q factor for myself. And yeah, works great on the bike. It's hollow carbon, so yes, nice and light. It is top end, but I get the privilege of that. It's been fantastic. Running it with the wide narrow equivalent, which is the wave ring. So most people don't know about wave rings. It's a left-right profile that helps retain the chain, but just for added security on this very fast bumpy tracks, I've fitted the Kinesis chain guide here, which works great. My drive chain is completed with XTR Di2, which I've been running for 3 years now on my other bike as well, and it's absolutely faultless. Can't beat it. The control on that is from the TRP Hylex brake, which is a hydraulic brake lever, but the control is this satellite shifting button system here. Really easy to use. You can also upshift when you're in the drops very easily, and that was faultless. And when I was getting really tired yesterday, it was nice to have that easy Di2 shifting. Cockpit is courtesy of Richie. I've got the WCS stem here and these fantastic Ventura Max bars, which come out with a really big flare, so the added control when you're descending fast is fantastic. Bigger, roomier positions. The fact that the hoods are tilted in as well makes a really nice hand position and actually more comfortable, especially on the rough terrain. So I really like the bars. That was different for me this year. Topped out with some Kinesis 4-season bar tape, nice and grippy. Added security for, again, holding tight. Moving to the back. I'm a big fan of the ISM saddle. It's not just for triathletes. This thing is a revelation. Most people won't have used it. On the gravel riding, really bumpy all the time, sitting down for long miles. You know, you get in and out of the saddle occasionally to stretch the legs, but you're basically sitting down. And this profile of the saddle does absolute wonders at saving your soft bits. So yeah, no chaffing, no chomping at the perineum. It's absolutely brilliant saddle, I think. And you know, maybe if this was called a gravel saddle, people would pay some attention, but I think it's fantastic. Tyres is probably the biggest chat of any of these sort of things. So on my Praxis wheels, the RC21s, I was excited to run the gravel grinder. Let's just clear that logo up for you a little bit. That's yesterday's dust. So the Challenge gravel grinder is listed at 42mm, but on these wider rims they actually measure up at 45. And if you've run cross tyres and you then go to a 40mm tyre, which is what I would recommend as a minimum for Dirty Reiver, that's like a big step up. When you go to 45, well, to be honest, it's a game changer. That extra volume, extra security and comfort is great. A lot of people talking about 650B with a bigger tyre. Yeah, you can do it, but those tyres, you know, make the wheel essentially a little bit smaller. I think bigger, more rollover. So a 45 on a 700, I think, is optimum. If your frame can fit it, which the Tripster AT has got buckets of clearance down here, even with a 45 tyre. So really pleased with those. Fast rolling in the middle, good side grip, and I was running these tubeless at about 30 psi, and yeah, didn't miss a beat. Felt really confident on the corners, so that was great. So up in the cockpit, a couple of things. Lezyne GPS, we were here with Lezyne's sponsorship, particularly for the GPS. Fantastic battery life, which is one of the reasons for these long distance events. It's great, lasts all day, no problem. Didn't actually need navigation on this event because it's route marked all the way around. but great to record your data. The rules of the event do state that you should have lights on your bike. They had a cut-off time of 10 o'clock in the evening. We did see riders coming home in the dark, so good just to have some safety lights. I'm running the Femto front and rear in a nice little purple colour to match my little anodised CNC cages and light drive pump. Why not throw a little bit of colour into it? The Lesign bell, definitely optional. But actually I really enjoyed using it, especially on some of the longer climbs when you're coming up to a rider. It's just a nice little way of signalling and having a chat. And actually on the trail round the side of the reservoir, quite a lot of walkers, families, leisure cyclists, so yeah, really useful to have the bell, and just cheered me up basically. So that was that. Back down to the cage area, and we're going to have a look at some of the equipment now. Underneath here I've got the flow cage because it's a fully enclosed cage, and inside here is the Lesign tool caddy, the flow caddy, and down there I was carrying, I didn't use any of this during the ride, but you need it for security. I've got the V11 tool with the nice purple sides. What else have I got? I'm going to chuck these on the floor as I go through them and we can just rattle through. I've got my power levers. I've got a smart patch kit in there with a tyre boot and some chain lube, just in case it was a wet day like today and you needed to re-lube. I've got one of 2 spare tubes. I'll show you where the other one is in a minute, but although I'm running tubeless, if I slashed a tyre and I needed to get a repair, I need a tube, slightly bigger tube because I'm running the bigger tyres. And then this little packet, things that people often forget, I've got a spare dropout. If I had a crash, span out a bit and I bent the hanger, all my gears would be out, so always take a spare hanger with you. Certainly take a spare quick link. And then also in here I've got spare brake pads just in case it was a wet day and things ground out. So all those spares down low, keep the weight down low. Top tube caddy. This is the XL Energy Caddy from Lesign. I love this because it's got all this little extra space in the side here for putting your empty packets when you've used them. Now what I did is I threw back in here all my empty wrappers, and this is an example of some of the stuff that I didn't eat, so I took too much with me, but I had some trail mix, I had some nice salty roasted cashews to keep the salt going, but most of the time I was running on Cliff bars and on Cliff shot blocks, and I've got some other little pre-prepared packets here of nuts and things. Basically, yet again, I took too much. I had some gels, and I've also, as is the rule, don't throw your litter away. I've kept all my nutrition, empty wrappers, and then I can analyse that later and work out maybe what I need to take next year and reduce it a bit. Basically, I came home with all those nuts and more gels, so yeah, I can take less. There were feed stations, brilliant feed stations, 3 points on the course. I chose to try and run self-sufficient this year, so I didn't take anything from the feed stations other than water, but I still took too much. Right, last piece of equipment. Again, this wasn't taken off the bike at all, and I was wearing various bits of clothing which I could put my gilet back in my back pocket, and I had a rain jacket in my back pocket as well, but everything else I needed was in this Lesign Road XL caddy, which worked great. It looks kind of boxy and square, but actually it works great underneath here. Very secure, tucked up and neat and tidy. I had, for quick fix emergency, I'm running, I forgot to mention with the tyres, I'm running the Effetto Cafe Latex sealant, and this is kind of sealant and foam in a can from Cafe Latex. I thought if I do get a bit of a bad puncture, quicker than changing a tube is to have a go with foam in a can first of all. So I thought, well, I can afford to carry that, it's only small. Emergencies, or if you had a really bad mechanical and you had a lot of time to wait or walk home, always carry a buff. If not for you, someone else might need it. Something people won't have thought of, but maybe you're having a bad stomach day, bit of toilet paper. There's none of it out there on the trail. Myself, contact lens wearer, spare contact lenses. Always useful if you blow a contact lens out on a fast descent or something. Here's my second spare tube in there as well. Then there's the emergency space blanket. Again, might not be for you. You might meet someone who's had a bad crash or is waiting for help and it's getting cold. Weighs nothing, could save someone's life, and it is in the recommended kit list. There is also, to go with that, a first aid kit. I won't take it all out, but I had a few extra things thrown into my little emergency first aid kit. Good old Bite Monger's Happy Bum Butter. I lathered up before I went, but just in case things were getting a bit uncomfortable, carry a little bit spare of that. Pair of gloves, either for if you've got dirty hands and you're trying to tend to somebody that's got a bad cut in their leg or something, always have clean hands. Those can also double up as if you've got a nasty fiddly bike mechanic job to do and you want to keep your hands clean. Inside here is all the basics, including some painkillers and emergency whistle. So well prepared on that. And a couple of other little things in here. Because they weigh nothing, I thought I'd just throw in some extra patch kits and an extra quick link. And then, as is tradition, take a good old-fashioned toe strap, because it's better than zip ties. You can reuse it, and there's sometimes when things fall off or you just need to strap something on, or maybe you've got to hold a bottle in extra. So it's a bit of a lucky charm for me to always take a toe strap. So there you have it. Bit of a long run through, but if you take all of that and you've got your clothing correct, and you've got a good lightweight Gore-Tex jacket and arm warmers, knee warmers, or whatever the weather prepares you for, then you are all set for Dirty Reiver. So I hope that's useful, and yeah, if you want to come to this event next year, it's going to be bigger and better than ever.